The list of ingredients at the back of any packaged food is a gold mine of information about that food. But ever wondered why you have to stare and look so closely to find and then read that list? Also, ever asked what these things like maltodextrin and dextrose and INS 150A and E235 etc. are? And what are they doing in your food? And even after you find these ingredients, ever wondered how much of each ingredient there is in your food? Because that's not declared there. If the answer to any of these is yes, then you've come to the right place. In this video, I'll show you how to read ingredient lists. Here's what all we'll talk about. First, we'll start with how to read and make sense of the ingredient list. Second, we'll learn what all those various strange sounding ingredients actually mean. Third, I'll show you how to find out what exact amount of each ingredient is there in your food. And lastly, fourth, I'll show you how to choose only the good stuff and reject the bad. All this and more in today's episode of the Whole Truth Academy. FSSAI, or the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, mandates that every manufacturer has to declare each and every ingredient that's gone into their food on the back of pack. And because of this, manufacturers get to put the ingredient list, that important piece of information, in very small font in some corner at the back. While the front of pack is reserved for more important stuff like beautiful and unrealistic product shots, complete with flying almonds, dripping chocolate and sexy models. You get the drift. But once you do pick up your magnifying glass and find that ingredient list, you're hit with another problem. How to read it? How to demystify it? Well, allow me to help. First, order of ingredients. Our food regulator is smart. Did you know that FSSAI mandates that the ingredients on the ingredient list need to be listed in decreasing order of constitution? What that means is that the first ingredient on the list is the largest component by weight in that food. Take this packet of oat cookies for example. The first and hence the biggest ingredient here is refined wheat flour, which is maida. Then the next ingredient is edible vegetable oil. The third ingredient is maltitol, which is a kind of sugar. We'll talk more on this later. Then there is inulin, which is another form of sugar. And then at fifth position is oats, which is just 6%. This is perhaps the most potent and the most well-kept secret of the back of pack, and it opens doors to many other secrets. Which brings me to point number 2, amount of each ingredient. Did you notice that in this cookie pack, the percentage of only a few ingredients, that is flour and oats, is declared? For some reason, the percentage of maltitol and vegetable oil and inulin is not declared. Why? Unfortunately, FSSAI does not mandate that the percentage of each ingredient be declared in the ingredient list. The food industry lobbied against this demand because that would let their recipes out. Their argument: if you knew the exact percentage of each ingredient, you or their competition could easily copy the recipe and make it yourself. Right. Interestingly though, you'll find the manufacturers self-declaring the percentage of a select few ingredients. Like we saw here in the cookie, flour and oats were declared. This is because FSSAI also mandates that for any ingredient which is emphasized on the front of pack through labels or pictures like oats in this case, or any ingredient that is essential to that food like flour is to biscuits, the percentage of that ingredient needs to be declared at the back. For example, take this bhujia. They've declared that the first ingredient at 46.2% is husked dew gram flour, which basically is a fancy name for besan. And the third ingredient at 9.2% is chickpea flour. Now, these two they had to declare because they are essential to what we expect from bhujia. But the ingredient in between at number 2 is oil, and they haven't mentioned how much is the percentage of oil. But no worries, given what we know now, we can derive how much oil there is. Now, given that ingredients are ordered by weight, you know that oil has to be less than 46% and more than 9%. Also, 46 plus 9 is equal to 55%. So 55% of this packet is these two kinds of flours. And they haven't mentioned the percentage of any of the other ingredients either. But these other ingredients are salts and spices. How much can they be? 3% or maybe 5% at max? So basically you now know that about 60% of this bhujia's constitution is flours, salts and spices. And the only thing left is oil. So 40% odd in this might just be oil. Now, one way to check if your guess is right is to check the fats in the nutritional table. As we learnt in the video on decoding nutrition tables, all flours are largely carbohydrates. So most of the fat in this product is coming from oil. So the percentage of fat in the nutritional table should ideally be close to the percentage of oil. Now, here they have listed the nutritional information per serve, and it says that one serving is 30 grams. So to find out per 100 gram, you'll have to multiply everything in the table by 3.3. So 14 grams of fat in one serve means about 45 grams of fat in 100 grams. That's 45%. Now you have your range. Most probably 40 to 45% of this food is vegetable oil. Voila. Number 3, ingredients. The biggest problem isn't finding the ingredient list. It's understanding what the ingredients themselves mean. Because most of the ingredients on the packaged food nowadays are unpronounceable. They aren't the things that you'd find in your mom's kitchen, but rather in a chemistry lab. If I tried to go through each and every unpronounceable ingredient on the list, this would be an hour-long video and we'd still just scratch the surface. Instead, I'll teach you how to find the problematic stuff, categorize it right, and then avoid it. But we'll do all that in part 2 of this video on how to read ingredient lists. For now, let's quickly recap what we've learned. 1. The ingredients on the back of pack are written in decreasing order of constitution. So the first ingredient is the largest and the last smallest. 2. While it's not mandatory to declare the percentage of each ingredient, using point 1 and some simple math, we can derive the percentage of the other ingredients too. And 3. Finally, using the tips and tricks we've learned in the previous video on how to read nutrition lists, we can also confirm if our guess is correct or not. That's all for today. Pick up any packet of food from your pantry, read the ingredient list in the way you've just learned, and tell me what you find in the comments below. And hey, do hit the subscribe button so you do not miss the next TWT Academy video. Ciao for now.